You know, I have to wonder how many people actually love these Ozark Trail knives. It seems like I see a ton of YouTube videos about them, and a lot of my Ozark Trail videos honestly do better than my review videos of big name brands, whether they're expensive or budget. To put it into perspective, at the time of this video recording, my Chris Reeve Sebenza video, my review on it, has under 100 views. But my review on the Ozark Trail Valor and Elevation is up to like 93,000. So my channel's always been budget oriented, but it seems like these Ozark trails are especially popular, even compared to budget knives from Kershaw, Gonzo, CRKT, whatever the case may be. And so today we'll be looking at another one. This is the Nimbus from Ozark Trail, model 2111. And I'm sorry to say that I don't like this one as much. Not because of the design or anything, but because the one I happen to get has had some pretty poor performance. Grabbing my notepad so I can show you when I do the cutting test. But yeah, I'm not as thrilled on this one. Now, like I said in my Sonder review, my Elevation and Valor review, as well as my Glacier review, there's going to be differences in quality control between batch to batch. You know, some will have a really good heat treat, some will have a really mediocre heat treat, some will have an okay heat treat, and it's looking like I got one with a mediocre heat treat. I couldn't buy multiple of these to kind of test out because this is the only one my Walmart had. And I've had it for a few months now, and I have carried and used it. And I will say I like the design. I like the knife overall in every way, except for the performance I've gotten out of this particular Nimbus's blade steel. So keep that in mind. If you get one that has a better heat treat, yes, it's a fantastic knife for the money. However, I can sadly only review the one I have in front of me. So that's what this review will be based on. It's also worth noting, if you're buying this knife secondhand on eBay or something, this is recycling an older Ozark Trail design, which I think was also the 2111. But that version was a 3CR13 blade that was spring assisted. It had a safety feature back here. Same overall design, looks identical, but it is a different knife. Okay? So keep that in mind. This one, fully manual action, and our steel is D2. Now, I mentioned in my Sonder video that my Sonder had pretty decent D2. The ones I had carried and used, you know, they performed pretty decently for the price point. This one, sadly, not so much. And I've used it for EDC. I put it through my 75 cuts through medium thickness cardboard, which it was still moderately slicing after that. The bigger issue was when I went to try to put an edge back on it. And I hit this thing against my Lansky croc stick. I hit it against the Spyderco Sharp Maker. I took it to my buddy, and he tried a consistent angle sharpener, and nothing was able to get an edge on here that I've been satisfied with. So here's the edge right now after sharpening. This is after going on the sharpening systems. That's the best we could get it. And I'm not really sure what's going on, because I can sharpen much harder steels. I can sharpen much, tougher stuff. But for some reason, the Chinese D2, the CR12 MOV blade on this Ozark Trail Nimbus, just refuses to take a satisfactory edge, and I don't know why. Okay, it could be an issue with the heat treat. There could be something wrong within the structure of the steel itself. I don't really know. I probably just have a lemon. That said, the blade shape itself, it's a nice drop point, 3 inches long. Okay, mid-flat hollow grind, so it starts from about the midsection of the way down. It does slice through cardboard pretty decently. It's not like a laser or anything, but I never had any drag. It never bound up. It did perform. It did work just fine. Adequately sharp tip for penetrating clamshells, bubble mailers, all of the stuff I always say. It's a very functional, very simple, but very inoffensive everyday carry blade shape. It works very, very well. Okay, edge retention on mine and inability to sharpen mine notwithstanding. Typical Ozark Trail logo, nice satin finish. I do like the blade. Okay, and if I can find another one of these, I'll probably pick it up just so I can see how common this issue is. But it's a very functional blade shape, and if you get one with a better treat that can actually take a decent edge, it's honestly a pretty solid design. The deployment is fast. As you can see, it comes out either with a flipper or the thumb studs. It does have a very solid detent, so the in-handle retention on this thing is solid. It's not coming out. It can take a little bit to overcome that flipper, but it's not difficult by any means. The flipper tab itself is not jimped, so it is possible to slide off of it. It is very well polished. And in the pivot point, we do have a ball bearing system. For it, I think this is a $10 knife. That's pretty damn impressive, all things considered. Same price as a Sonder. I will say right now, if you're wondering Nimbus versus Sonder, I would pick the Sonder personally. But again, if you get a better heat treat on your blade, they're pretty neck and neck, I guess. It's just a matter of preference on design. It is a liner lock design, and you can see that liner's engagement. It's actually still fairly early, which I love to see. The liner lock itself is very easy to access due to this cutout in the handle, so we can reach in there and disengage it perfectly fine. Thumb stud design, very simple, maybe a little bit slick. I'd like to see a few more steps on those thumb studs for better traction, but I can get in there. It's not an issue. The overall look of this knife reminds me of the Skyline from Kershaw. Is that just me? It has a somewhat Kershaw Skyline overall appearance. Maybe it's just because it's such a simple, generic shape and design, but that's what it reminds me of. Okay, centering on this one, you can see it's listing a little bit to that left-hand side, but it's not rubbing. For the price point, I think it's adequate. It's perfectly fine. Lockup is tight, by the way. I don't have any play up and down. Side to side, I have a tiny bit in this one right now. It would be very easy to adjust it on that pivot point. Single-sided, by the way. And I do like how they have it almost perfectly presentation style, meaning we have a domed female head on this side. We do have actual male heads on this side. I would like to see those female and domed as well. So we have a very classy presentation, and then have all of our adjusted hardware on this side. But still, pretty handsome-looking knife. The handle itself is made out of aluminum. No telling what grade of aluminum. It's probably something fairly cheap, but it is attractive. I like the blue, and the finish is held up well to some pocket carry. I'll say that. What I don't like on this is the pocket clip. Okay, it has many things I've talked about I don't like. It flares up a ridiculous amount there towards the end, and I mean a ridiculous amount. We have mushroom capping on those screw heads, which is not ideal. That said, the tension is really solid, and it does carry fairly deep. Okay, so let's go ahead and clip this to the old cutlery lever pocket, and you can see it is almost completely buried in that pocket. But you'll have quite a bit of clip sticking up. Okay, so that's going to scratch car doors as you walk by, get caught up on seat belts, snag on door frames, all sorts of things. And yes, I have had that happen with this exact knife. That said, it is swappable to the left-hand side, so lefties, you are not left out on the cold on this one. This is a budget-friendly lefty knife. Okay, I do love to see that. The weight on here, I have it written down as 3.5 ounces, but I always love to break out the old drug dealer scale. So let's go ahead and bring this in, and we'll weigh it on camera. 3.55. We'll say 3.5 ounces. Is that light for a knife of this size? Not exactly. We can get much lighter knives. If you're chasing the ultimate efficiency, you may want to stay away. But that being said, I feel like people are kind of overblowing the whole ultra lightweight thing. I think the bug out craze is kind of over. People are starting to go back to, you know, more normal, slightly heftier carry knives, and this fits that bill quite well. The handle, by the way, is reasonably ergonomic. It's 4 inches long. It is comfortable to hold. I don't have any hot spots. That said, even with my medium-sized hands, I'm running out of room on this knife. If you have larger-sized hands, you probably will find it a bit cramped for your preferences. We do have some jimping on the top spine of the knife, and it works very well. Very tractionable. We lock in quite well. And then that flipper doubles as a finger guard, so we're not likely to go forward on this knife, though it is way too small for me to think of as a primary self-defense weapon or even a backup self-defense weapon. Flow-through construction on the knife, and it reveals no skeletonizing on those stainless steel liners, which is part of the reason why this knife is heftier for its size. Now that's kind of baffling because the Sonder had skeletonized liners. The Elevation and Valor had skeletonized liners. I'm not sure why the Nimbus doesn't. Okay, they could save a little bit of weight going that way, but like I said, I don't think we're that obsessed with it anymore that it really matters. Price tag is $10. I'm not even going to bother breaking out the competitive options. It would just be the same ones I've shown you all 1,000 times. You know, the Sonder, the Mossy Oak, the Flitza, all the same stuff you've seen time and time again. What I'll tell you is, if you want to take a gamble on it and hope for one with a decent treat, which is the case with all of these Ozark trails, not just the Nimbus, if you get a moderate to good one, it's a great value. $10, it's hard to argue with it. It's comfortable, it works, it's a nice bearing system, it locks up well. The clip could use a little bit of work. Just grind it down. That's what I would do if I were you. But for 10 bucks, hell, pick it up, throw it on your desk as a desk knife, throw it in your your work backpack or locker to have it work at all times. Throw them into your work everyday carry, because if you lose one, you won't care. I know I won't. I carry this sometimes at work for that reason. Whenever I carry a folding knife clipped to my pocket these days at work, I make sure it's one I won't care if I lose it, because I've lost a few knives already up there. I do a lot of walking, averaging between 30 and 40,000 steps a night. So yeah, it's very easy to lose knives at that pace. I wouldn't mind if I lost this. I could go out and buy another one. And, like I said, I only have the one sample. Maybe this is the outlier. Maybe it's the lemon, but maybe it's not. And that's a point I want to kind of talk about and illustrate in this video with these Ozark Trail knives. I've been very lucky with my other ones. This one, maybe not so much. Although I can't say I got too lucky with my Glacier. It had one of the metal rivets that holds the pocket clip screws fall out, so now I can't even carry that one. It's hit or miss, guys. You're not spending much money. You are getting what you pay for. Sometimes you're getting more than what you pay for. But in my opinion, at $10, even with the performance I've gotten out of this one, I got what I paid for with it. I have no complaints. It's a decent knife. Could be a good knife if I had a better example of one. So yeah, that is the Ozark Trail 2111 Nimbus. Not bad. Not bad.